Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. So this is the next installment in my series of Lion King reviews. And lead up to Mufasa. So this movie's interesting. More than you would think, I would say. Because to me, I think that a lot of people are forgetting that at one point Disney was pumping out these direct-to-video sequels in the same way they do live-action remakes now. I think people forget them because, let's face it, most of them are, they're not good, but they're also very forgettable more than they are bad, I would say. And so Disney was pumping these things out, and now in the age of home video and stuff, not being on the decline that it is, Disney doesn't do that anymore. In fact, the company that made most of these, Disney Toon, who also did the Planes movies and the Goofy movie and the DuckTales movie, no longer exists. They shut their doors. So that tells you a lot about where that kind of stuff is at. And so they shut the doors to that company. And so now you can find all these movies on Disney Plus, but I don't think anyone is really watching those things on Disney Plus unless they have nostalgia because they grew up on them, sort of thing. So, there are a lot of us who are a little bit older, like me. I remember renting one of the Lilo and Stitch TV movies on DVD from Blockbuster and Bambi 2 and a couple other ones, and us having Lion King 2 on DVD in the house, right? But other than that, this nostalgia just for these is there, but most people don't remember these. So yeah, and I think that's for the best. Most of these aren't very good. This is one of the better ones, but you definitely feel the cheapness of it. I remember it actually being better than it was, but it's not great. I think this is the best Lion King direct-to-video sequel they probably could have made. They made some smart decisions, so obviously Lion King is kind of more inspired by Hamlet, and so they went with another kind of thing like that, and they went with Romeo and Juliet this time, which is kind of a smart play, and it works for the movie. I mean, it's still pretty it's kind of there, but yeah, it was fun, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't have the emotions or heights of the original. It doesn't have the Hans Zimmer score. The songs are actually pretty decent. There's actually a couple I remember. He lives in you. There's a couple of those that are actually pretty decent. And there is some decent animation here. This is, the animation actually looked pretty decent here. And I think probably the reason maybe this one turned out the way it did is just because at the time Lion King was the highest grossing animated movie of all time. What year did this one come out? It didn't come out too far after it. It was probably 2 or 3 years after it. Maybe longer than that. I could be wrong. Whatever. It didn't come out too long, right? So Lion King was still in the mainstream. It still was a big deal. I mean, it never really left, but it was a big deal at the time. And Frozen and Frozen 2 and the Lion King remake, and now instead up to have overtaken it, but at the time it was just Lion King. So I can imagine the team probably felt more indebted to that original movie to make a really great sequel to it, and they tried with what materials they had. And that's really the biggest problem with all these movies, is these people are making sequels to movies that had way more material to them and time, money, and budget. And so they make these sequels, and they're pretty awful, and people wonder how does this happen? How did these mistakes happen? It's because they don't have the time, the money, a resource to really make it look good, right? They try some of the CG effects that the original had, how the original had the CGI stampede scene. Well, now this one has the CGI fire, and it doesn't look as good. Why? Because they don't have the resources or money to really do that. And so, I don't know. I like, it's there. If you're curious about it, it's a decent watch. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes. Pretty quick movie. But it definitely is not my favorite of the animated Lion King sequels. That one goes to the next one, so we'll talk about that. But here is that movie. So we'll talk about this one next. Lion King 1.5 next week. So let me know your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe.